Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Friday, November 10th. We're going to take an updated look at any. So I've had a few messages in the past few days of folks saying that they think any is about to boom and, could I come back in and cover it? So I thought I'd come in, take a look. Obviously, it's struggling a little bit today. It had a bit of an uptick, a couple of days ago, and then it's pulled back since then. But I wanted to keep the chart relatively simple. And so we can go through that and then flip over to the think or swim study and see where things are situated there. Now, whether there's any validity to, hey, it's about to move, it's about to boom, I don't know. But here's what I think. I think you should continue to look for buying pressure in this like 95 and a half down to about 92 cent range. That's this green box. That's where you want buyers to keep coming and stepping in. If that stops happening, then I think any bulls, it feels weird to say any bulls, but bulls of any stock, they have a problem because they need the buyers to keep stepping in at that level. Otherwise, you're about to make a new swing low, and that's not going to provide a good bullish confidence to anyone. Now, the other thing, and it's already slipping this a little bit today, is this uptrend support. Now, this could shift. So even if it's slipping in a little today, that may not necessarily mean much of anything. And this support is very, very much a newborn baby. So I don't know if this will even hold at all, but if there is any case for, hey, any is about to take off, then it's going to need some support level to really take shape, and then it can push off of it. So you combine that with, bulls continuing to step in here, that could provide some lift. Additionally, we have this 103 level that I think is critical for it to come find support at. So even if it leaves this uptrend support behind and it just kind of keeps batting itself around here and buyers keep showing up, once it sort of breaks that 103 level and confirms it as support, then I could see it sort of having some potential to start to break through additional levels. Now, right where I left my cursor, right around this 115 level, I would say there's another sort of sticky zone there for it to try to work through, like 115 all the way up to about, say, 120, 121. I think the even heavier zone, so if it can get through that, I think the heavier zone is up in here. If it's able to push up to about 130, up through 132, that level could get very, very challenging for it. So it has a few stops in between, at the 103, and then like we said, right around here, around the 120-ish range. But if it can accomplish all of that, then sure, maybe you have some push power and see what it does in that 130 range. If it breaks through that, then I'd be happy to come take a look again. And if at some point it could establish some uptrend support, even if it's not this exact level, or even if it dips down here and then eventually comes up through and bangs into it and sort of confirms it that way, that would be great. But, pretty nascent levels at the moment. So trying to see kind of, what could be going on. Obviously had this big, recent push up and I'm not even ready to approach that, that 160 level and start putting stuff up there yet. I think this is enough to try to digest and accomplish for now. Now flipping over here to the think or swim study, we do see it's situated in the low to mid range of the channel with, per the histogram on the TTM squeeze indicator, bearish momentum continuing to pick up. So even though it, pushed off the bottom bound of the channel here and did make a run at the mid-range, it's getting pushed right back down at the moment. Bearish momentum still continuing to pick up per that indicator. Now we do see a trigger and a fire recently too, and that sort of encompassed this big move up toward 160 that we were talking about a minute ago. So here you had basically price action hugging the mid-range to the lower bound of the channel, kind of batting itself through there. It started to trigger, and then while it was still triggering, it made that big jump from about 109 or so all the way up to 160, and then it was still just triggering, and then it started to fire. And on this fire so far, it's been relatively sideways. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. This, to me, could be potentially the best case for, hey, it's about to go boom. Maybe that's sort of what's queuing up here, a trigger, a re-trigger, and a refire, and that this was sort of an all-encompassing move, right? It encompassed a big move up and a big move down, and now it's firing as the sideways action is happening. What I'd want to see there is it continuing to hug the mid-range of the channel, and then it start to trigger again while continuing to hug the mid-range of the channel. And then here's where we may see a counter move. In other words, if the real move is it's going to go to the upside, when it fires, it may move slightly down for a few days and then make the big move up. Or if it's going to make the big move down, it could fire, go up for a few days, and then the big move down. So I'm really interested to see what happens on the next trigger and fire, as this one seems to be some sort of a weird mishmash of the triggering components of it encompass big moves to both sides, right, for bulls and bears. And then when it's firing, it's just kind of moving sideways and running itself into the mid-range of the channel. So sort of an oddball setup there, but we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I guess that's a long-winded way to say I'm most interested in seeing what happens on the next trigger and fire if it continues to hug the mid-range of this channel, which would mean that it wouldn't hold this uptrend support for the time being, but it would maybe do something like bat itself around between this box and this 103 and kind of not be able to find clear support or resistance on either of those, but just sort of continue to wishy-washy price action itself in between those two. The question for me then becomes, how long do buyers continue to show up in this green box? Because like I said, at some point buyers don't show up and you have a big sell-off there. That's going to obviously have strong after effects and is going to put the momentum very clearly in the bear's direction. So I do often worry about relying on buyers to continue to show up in a range when it may be questionable to them what the payoff is or when. So that's the only thing I would worry about if it does continue to move sideways and dip into that box over and over and over again. All right, folks, I hope that you had a good trading week. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.